This appears to be a highly sophisticated and widespread attack across.
Yeah, super sophisticated. Israel is fucking small bean, but also very moral and very responsible in the way that they're doing mass terror here in Lebanon, where I'm standing in front of civilians. Very nice. Israel is begging to go into war in Lebanon. They dropped flyers to threaten, Lebanon with an invasion. They did this shit. It's a mass terror attack. That's what it is, by the way. And it's being celebrated as a fucking epic move. I just want you to understand what they did is a breach of international law. Once again, just so you understand, it is completely illegal. What they did is unconscionable, just a straight up act of terrorism. But of course, that's all Israel does. Israel does as much terrorism as they want to do, and ain't nobody fucking can say a goddamn thing about it. Now, let's take a look at how epic the media is covering this epic act of mass terror.
His Ministry of Public Health says at least 8 people are dead and roughly 2,700 more injured after a number of pagers.
The numbers have increased since this story came out.
Exploded. CCTV shows the moment one explosion happened at a supermarket in Beirut. One man was knocked to the ground. And here's a look at Beirut now, where Hezbollah says the causes of those explosions are still unknown. But they say the pagers were owned.
They're here to debate you whether there's a bomb inside the pagers. No joke. They stunlocked Mike for 1 hour earlier. I'm not a fucking, bomb expert, dude. I don't fucking know if there were bombs in the goddamn pagers or if they, overloaded the pagers enough that they exploded. I don't know, okay? I have no idea. And I don't even care about whether they actually fucking snuck bombs into the pagers or if they somehow were able to overload the pagers enough that they exploded. Because guess what? Either or, it still is an act of fucking terror, like mass terror, with the intent to cause chaos and kill as many people as possible, or at least maim them in a country that Israel is not actively fighting against.
Owned by a number of workers in various Hezbollah units and institutions. I want to bring in foreign correspondent Tom Sufi-Burge in Paris, along with ABC News contributor, former senior CIA field operative Daryl Blocker for more. Tom, what's the latest?
Yeah, Diane, this appears to be a highly sophisticated and widespread attack across.
Yeah, super sophisticated. Israel is fucking small bean, but also very moral and very responsible in the way that they're doing mass terror here in Lebanon, where I'm standing in front of civilians. Very nice.
Lebanon. Lebanon's health ministry now saying 2,750 people injured in this attack, including 200 of those people critically injured. We're seeing video which is too graphic to show you of catastrophic.
Yeah, hey, by the way, if you want to understand whether something is immoral and unconscionable, imagine if Russia did this in Ukraine. That way, you will very quickly recognize how the media would react. Okay, if Russia did this in Ukraine, literally everyone would understandably go, what the fuck are you doing? This is just mass terrorism. Holy shit. And it's not even in Ukraine, actually. If Russia was doing this in fucking Poland. And we don't actually have to analyze or speculate, because guess what? Russia does do this to their own political dissidents every now and then. Never to this degree, never this widespread, actively targeting thousands of fucking people that are among civilians. You know what I mean?
Catastrophic injuries to a number of individuals in multiple hospitals across Lebanon. They're saying that 8 people have been killed in the attack, including a 10-year-old girl. We've had now 2 statements from Hezbollah, that Iranian-backed proxy group based in Lebanon. They are saying 2 of their members are amongst the 8 people.
Okay, first of all, it's not just a proxy group based in Lebanon. It's also a fucking political party, dude. What the fuck? Oh my God. Well, Hezbollah is a terrorist organization. Dog, if Hezbollah is a terrorist organization, America is the top terrorist organization, which it is, by the way. America is the top dog in terrorism, and so is Israel. What the fuck are you talking about? No, what you meant to say is Hezbollah is Muslim. That's what you meant to say. What you meant to say is they're Muslim. So, of course, as they're Muslim, it's different. They're Muslim. It's so funny to say, well, Hezbollah is a terrorist organization when we are covering a story about Israel openly taking credit over exploding fucking pagers directly in a country that they're not in war with right now around civilians. You would justify 9/11 if Israel did it to another country, straight up at that point. They killed a fucking 8-year-old, man, or a 10-year-old.
Killed in this attack. And Hezbollah is saying that what happened is at about 3:30 in the afternoon local time in Lebanon, pager devices, remember those are devices that can receive messages but not calls, effectively exploded. So members of Hezbollah carrying pagers, we've seen videos confirming this, that appear to show individuals looking down towards what...
I feel like people don't look at this with nuance, regardless of their position. Should civilians have been hurt during this attack? It's okay since it was meant to target militants. It's not. Dude. Like, imagine, first of all, there are certain rules about like how you can conduct international war. And the rules are there so that it doesn't happen to you either. You can't always run with the assumption that like our guns are better, our cyber terrorism is better, so we get to do it and they get to do nothing in return. This is one of those rules. You cannot mass explode communication devices used by fucking civilians. De facto terrorism, since many of the people whose pagers were blown up are not military targets, but civilian members of the political wing of Hezbollah, and the chaos it caused, for example, if the victims were driving or in a crowded area, it could mean more random civilian deaths. It is directly an act of terrorism. It's directly an act of terrorism in not a war zone, mind you. You can just say that they're Muslim, so they deserved it all day, every day, but it doesn't fucking matter. I'm from Lebanon. The pagers are available for everyone. My cousin had one too. He works as a nurse. Fortunately, she did not hold it in her hands. The absolute majority of casualties are civilians, over 4,000 already. Insane, dude. This is insane. I don't care about Hezbollah members. No civilian would use a pager, dog. Are you fucking stupid, dude? What do you mean no civilian would use a pager? The civilians that use pagers are doctors and nurses, you fucking idiot. What the fuck are you talking about? Hospitals still use them, you dumb fuck. Bro, I get it. Like, in order to defend the Israeli genocide and the Israeli apartheid regime, like, you have to basically fucking bludgeon your head multiple times in an effort to fucking arrive at a position that what Israel is doing is good. But like, you can't be this stupid. What's the link to Israel not being contentious? I mean, they straight up took ownership over it. This is some of the most disgusting shit I've ever heard. Just completely random 9/11. Yeah. It's not indistinguishable from terrorism, says Sturgeon's Law. There is no better way to describe it. Here's Edward Snowden's take on it. And here's Yusuf's take on it as well. Yusuf Munayer. The apparent Israeli mass cyber attack in Lebanon that detonated cellular devices and pagers is a grave violation of international human law and opens a dangerous Pandora's box. Almost every human is a walking, ticking bomb, and it won't be long before this tech will be used by many actors. That's the other side of this process. How long before dissidents targeted by Putin, Modi, KSA, Iran, Israel, and many others fall prey to such an assassination tactic? No need to poison tea anymore. Parents in Lebanon, just like parents all over the world, let their kids play with their phones from time to time. How many Lebanese kids did Israel blow up today with their gimmicks? What Israel has done is, via any method, reckless. They blow up countless numbers of people who were driving, meaning cars out of control, shopping. Your children are in a stroller standing behind him in the checkout line. Indistinguishable from terrorism because it is terrorism. It's not indistinguishable from terrorism. It is an act of terror. Okay? As information comes in about the exploding beepers in Lebanon, it seems now more likely that than not to be implanted explosives, not a hack. Why? Too many consistent, very serious injuries. If it were overheated batteries exploding, you'd expect many more small fires and misfires. Sky News Arabia reports that the pagers were packed with a small amount of PETN, which was detonated by raising battery temperatures. It seems like, at least according to Sky News Arabia, initial sources say that there was a quantity of highly explosive PETN that was placed on the device's battery and detonated by raising the battery's temperature. This was more targeted than just like simply exploding the hundreds of thousands of pagers that are in use. It's obviously not just like a battery explosion. However, the issue in this process is people fucking give away pagers. And not only that, but also people are driving cars. People are fucking, at the checkout line at the grocery store. When you're exploding fucking pagers randomly in an act of terror, you're killing a lot of people, including an 8-year-old. People are flying fucking planes. Like, imagine a Hezbollah dude A Hezbollah dude in Lebanon, a political operative, a civilian, right? Not a militant, but a political operative is on a fucking airplane. That airplane could be flying over any territory. That fucking pager explodes inside of that airplane. Not a small plane, like a straight up commercial airline. How many fucking civilians does Israel kill in that process? Think about that. Airplane explodes, the pager explodes inside of the fucking airplane. What happens? They don't get service in airplanes? You're wrong. They do. You're actually wrong. Did that happen? Or are you posing a hypothetical? I'm posing a hypothetical as to why there are rules around this sort of thing. What the fuck are you talking about? Al Jazeera saying that the pagers in the Israeli attack were indeed packed with explosives and were imported into Lebanese territory 5 months ago. And Axios says that the decision was made by the Israeli state to detonate the pagers a week ago. They're fucking flexing. They want to go to war with Lebanon. So they're trying to gear up for this war with Lebanon. They want to invade Lebanon. I don't know if you already covered this, but there were pagers that exploded in doctors' possessions. Yeah, of course. It makes fucking sense, dude. It makes total perfect sense. Like, you have no way of sneaking in pagers specifically for Hezbollah. You know that, right? And even if you did have a way of sneaking it and just giving it to only Hezbollah militants, generals, okay? You have no way of knowing that they're not around fucking random civilians. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? The cost of life is nothing for so many people, I think. As long as you're just, a criminal automatically for being born in Lebanon, you're just a, unforeseeable consequence. Like, sorry, it's just collateral damage. Like, what the fuck? This is a mass scale attack. This is a mass act of terrorism. And it won't be long until this is used in a similar capacity against others who don't have the OPSEC for it, including but not limited to Israel. Yeah, blindsiding America as usual. The operation was approved earlier this week during security meetings with Prime Minister Netanyahu, senior members of his cabinet, and the heads of the security services. Israel didn't inform the Biden administration. Yeah, they can do whatever the fuck they want, dog. They can do whatever they want. Whatever they want. No rules. No holds barred. It's a targeted attack, as you said, but dumbasses in chat don't realize that Hezbollah is a political party with a massive civil wing, with accountants and other normal people in membership. This is an act of terrorism, and it's pure Orientalism to say it's not. No, I'm saying even if they were exclusively somehow able to give pagers to like Hezbollah military members, even if they were able to like feed it just to the fucking Hezbollah militant commanders, exploding pagers like this when they are in civilian life. Think about it. If the reverse of this happened with the IDF, if you had like IDF soldiers, IDF generals, and their fucking pagers exploded, the entire world would be like, this is the most unimaginable act of terror. This is so completely and utterly unacceptable. They're not actively in fucking combat. They're like literally going home. It's crazy. These are de facto, these are not enemy combatants, okay, under international law at that moment. This is an assassination. I cannot believe how much Israel has normalized just like murking whoever the fuck they feel like. This guy says political members of a military organization are legitimate targets. In fact, political members of organizations are more legitimate targets than the actual militants. 1, international law doesn't sanction this idea. 2, Hezbollah's political operatives aren't political members of a military organization. They are the political party. Hezbollah is not itself a military organization. The political and paramilitary wings are separate entities. The separation in that situation is more apparent than even like the distinction between an American politician and the American military. Actually, it's not that different. It's identical almost. Like, there was a dude that was caught on fucking tape, dude. He was in the supermarket. He's in the grocery store. Do you think this is all right? Think about it, dude. Think about it. Like, a bomb just explodes when you're at fucking checkout at Walmart because the dude in front of you bought a fucking dud pager. Like, you think that's all right? It fucking maims your daughter. It maims your son. You think that's you would be like, this is appropriate? No, you would not. You would not consider it to be appropriate at all. The only reason why you think it's permissible is because the victims are brown, dude. That's it. And no, for the record, you just said, if this doesn't outrage the public, our future isn't looking great. It's not going to, because the media is already celebrating how brilliant this is. Blowing up Hezbollah pagers would have been a game changer in an all-out war in Israel's favor, but they wasted this stunt now to try and put off a war they know they can't win. Israel's losing Gaza. The north is empty and Hezbollah is systematically destroying it. Netanyahu will do anything to secure any sort of victory to satisfy his rabid base. Even after this attack, Israel didn't achieve any of their main goals. That's the other part of this. Like, they did this. If they were to do this in the midst of like an operation, in the midst of like an on-the-ground, like straight-up invasion, that would be one thing. It would still be a foul act of terror, but at least it would actually have strategic importance. And I wouldn't put it past Israel to do that. Having said that, not only is this an act of terror, an overt act of terror in violation of international laws, it also was meaningless. It was meaningless. It was just to be like, it was just a flex to be like, hey guys, I know that we're not in favor anymore. Like, our intelligence community is not what it once was, but like, we still got it.
What appears to be a pager device and then the explosion. This appears to have been very widespread across multiple regions across Lebanon. And one of the victims, significantly, Diane, is, according to Iranian state TV, Iran's ambassador to Lebanon. So that's highly significant. Israel has not commented on this attack as things stand. We know, of course, for years, Israel has been conducting a shadow war against Iranian proxies in the region, including Hezbollah. And of course, it's been trading attacks across its northern border into southern Lebanon with Hezbollah for the best part of a year throughout the warring, as the war in Gaza continues. Israel does not comment on the attacks it can.
Hezbollah member, son of terror group MP. That means it was a politician. As in, they exploded the pager of an MP, but a terror group MP, but an MP nonetheless. It's like killing a congressperson and their son or daughter. A Reuters story from July details how Hezbollah, in the aftermath of Israel killing one of its top commanders, shifted even further away from cell phone communication. Hezbollah, Reuters reported at the time, was opting to go with the low-tech route of pagers. Cell phones, which can be used to track a user's location, have been banned from the battlefield in favor of more old-fashioned communication, including pagers and couriers who deliver verbal messages in person, two of the sources said. It's the greatest preemptive strike ever. Yeah, so was 9/11, bitch ass. Shut up. Death toll officially is up to 11 and 4,000 wounded, like maimed. Wounded doesn't just mean like, oh, you have scratches, okay? It means like your shit got blown off, your hand, your arm.
Conducts in its near abroad, but the finger of suspicion, given the sophisticated nature of this attack, will be pointed towards Israel. And Hezbollah, and a second statement I've just received, is now saying that it holds Israel responsible and that this attack will not go, in its words, unpunished.
And Daryl, how does this even work? How do you turn a wireless device like a pager?
Yeah, we'll find out more about this. But by the way, like, there is no assurances that the pagers that you're selling only stay in the hands of Hezbollah. That's the other part of this process. Now, a more ethical thing you could possibly do in that situation is to put trackers in the fucking pagers and trace the pagers and ensure that they know, fucking know where these guys are, where Hezbollah militants are, whatever, all this shit. But no, they don't want to do that because they want to blow shit up, because they don't give a fuck, because they know that no matter what happens, the Western media will back them. And also, the devices apparently were programmed to beep for several seconds before exploding, according to the officials, who spoke on the condition of anonymity because of the sensitivity of the matter. Why would you want to do that? Well, it's because if it's on your desk and it starts beeping, you pick it up and you look at it so it fucking blows up in your face. Just so you understand the gross nature of this attack. Like, intercepting a supply chain and fucking adding plastic explosives, like the chemicals used for like Semtex, is just unimaginable, dude. I am shocked at the cruelty of this. When they say Hezbollah members, they're also talking about members of the parliament, okay? Like straight up politicians, for the record, just so you understand. They're not talking about just like militants and military wing of Hezbollah. This has to be considered a war crime? Yes, of course it's a war crime. But with Israel, it's basically yet another war crime that it gets to do, and not a single person will say anything about it. And if you do say something about it, you're a fucking idiot, and you should shut the fuck up because they deserve it, and that it is totally valid, totally permissible. Fuck you for ever saying anything. And now we get to do Fortnite dances on the corpses of fucking, Lebanese children too. And also, I'm anti-Semitic. Can this be the final straw? No, dude. At this point, I'm going to be honest with you. Israel could fucking nuke Lebanon and they still wouldn't consider that to be far too much. Straight up. It's a terrifying prospect, but I legitimately believe this. A Lebanese security source tells Al Jazeera that the Hezbollah pages that exploded earlier today were imported to Lebanon 5 months ago. The report says the communication devices were rigged with up to 20 grams of explosive material. A separate report by the UAE-backed Sky News Arabia claims that the Mossad placed PETN, a powerful explosive material, on the batteries of the pagers and detonated them by raising the temperature. Now, the thing is, a lot of people say, oh, this is James Bond shit, not realizing, yeah, it's James Bond shit. It's the James Bond villain that does this, okay? There is no movie in which the intelligence communities that are supposed to be presented as the good guys would be exploding these fucking devices around civilians, okay? There's not a single fucking movie where the good guys would do that. It's the bad guys that would do that. How is anyone in the region supposed to look at this and go, Israel is literally a violent entity that is swinging at every single country that has the unfortunate consequence of being in its immediate fucking vicinity? Shocking.
Or a phone into an explosive.
So, Diane, I'm assuming that question was directed towards me. So the lithium batteries that are in some of these pagers are exploding all the time. You hear about them on planes. You hear about them overheating. That may be a part of it. But in order to basically take over an entire network, whether it's technologically or to physically gain access and put...
I'm Iranian, and all I will say is that Hezbollah is not just a little political party. They're the very embodiment of horrible acts based on extreme religious belief. Yeah, this is really funny to say when we're talking about fucking Israel, which just did a significantly worse horrible act. Just reverse the fucking role, Iranian man signing off from Langley, Virginia, and then you will understand the severity of the crime. If Hezbollah exploded fucking thousands of goddamn pagers inside of Israel and said, we're doing this for Islam, and if you criticize us, you're Islamophobic, everyone would turn around and be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Shut the fuck up, dude. Like, what is this? What is this? Like, oh, they deserved it then. I guess, sorry, if you're Lebanese in the vicinity of a fucking, like, Lebanese politician from Hezbollah, okay, then you deserve to die too. Yeah. If the same was done to Israelis, BM is right, Israel would have called it a second 710, aka the third Holocaust, and would have been bombing all over Lebanon like crazy right now with the full backing of the entire world that would have been horrified of the unprecedented, atrocious terrorist attack against innocent Israelis. 100%. Like, that's in the middle of a supermarket, man. That's crazy. Like, you're fucking out of your goddamn mind. And that's the one that we have, like, direct footage of. There's kids there. There's elderly people there. What are you talking about? There's a kid in the shot. And fucking ultra-Zionists are gloating on Twitter about this. They're like, hell yeah, baby. They're doing it. We devices, did the damn thing.
Small pieces of debt cord inside of these things would be very, very difficult for 2,700 devices. So I think with time, we'll learn a little bit more.
All right, Tom Sufi-Burridge, Darryl Blocker, thank you.
Here's what the New York War Crimes said. Pagers explode, the New York Times headline reads, after their friends in Israel detonated devices near thousands of Lebanese people in homes, hospitals, and busy streets. If it was any other perpetrator, they would call it a terrorist attack. Look at the passive voice here. Israel, the greatest cop nation. Pagers explode across Lebanon after Israel warns Hezbollah. Hezbollah said pagers belonging to its members had exploded, and health officials said over 2,700 were wounded. The Israeli military declined to comment. Pagers explode naturally when they're under extreme distress. How do they get the pagers to explode? 5 months ago, according to some sources, this is the speculation or the preliminary reporting on the matter is that Mossad put a bunch of explosives inside of pagers and shipped it into, like, disrupted the supply chain that was going into Lebanon. They put they planted bombs inside of pagers. Those pagers, they had no fucking, like, genuine knowledge if it would go to, like, random civilians or directly to just, like, Hezbollah members. Many of which are, by the way, not even militants, but directly just, like, members of the parliament. Okay, so civilians, just so you understand. They're brown, they're Muslim, scary, I know, but still civilians. including but not limited to, other people that might be using pagers as well, like nurses and doctors alike. Could it be an exploit? No. Normal batteries don't explode like that. I think the exploit is that they probably fried the battery so that it would activate the explosive. Over 3,000 pagers were rigged with explosives. Is this a reasonable claim? Seems to me like that's what happened. Are there reports of civilian casualties? Yes, of course. 4,000 is the latest estimate of the wounded civilians in the process, like maimed. A 10-year-old girl died due to the pager explosion. Hezbollah has also released a statement. Let's take a look. At approximately 3:30 p.m. on Tuesday, several communications devices known as pagers carried by a number of workers in various units and institutions of Hezbollah exploded. These explosions, whose causes still remain unknown, have resulted in the martyrdom of a young girl and 2 of our brothers so far, and have injured a large number of others with varying degrees of severity. The specialized units in Hezbollah are currently conducting a comprehensive security and scientific investigation to determine the cause of these simultaneous explosions. Medical and clinical teams are also treating the wounded and injured in several hospitals across the Lebanese regions. After examining all the facts, current data, and available information about the sinful attack that took place this afternoon, we hold the Israeli enemy fully responsible for this criminal aggression that also targeted civilians and led to the martyrdom of a number of people and the injury of a large number with various wounds. Our martyrs and wounded are the symbol of our struggle and sacrifices on the road to Al-Quds in victory for our honorable people in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank and continuous field support. Our position of victory, support, and backing for the valiant Palestinian resistance will remain a source of pride and honor for us in this world and the hereafter. This treachery and criminal enemy will certainly receive its just punishment for this sinful aggression from where it expects it or not, and Allah is witness to what we say. Here's what the Pentagon spokesperson said about the fucking pager attack, by the way, if you want to know how bad things are in the America land and how little they give a shit about this.
I'm just following up on the pagers question. Does DOD assess that this was an attack by Israel? And do you consider this an escalation?
It's funny because, like, they didn't even fucking, apparently, if you were to believe the State Department, which, I don't really make a habit of believing the State Department in most cases, but if you were to believe it, Israel didn't even tell them about this, okay?
Of the tensions on the northern border.
Yeah, as far as what it is, again, I just don't have anything to provide. And as far as escalation, broadly speaking, in the Middle East, I mean, this is something that we've been paying attention to for more than almost a year now, since Hamas's attack on Israel on October 7. And so we've been very, very focused. The secretary's been very, very focused on ensuring that that the tensions in the region do not escalate into a wider regional conflict. And as I highlighted at the top, that's something that continues.
I mean, but it is. Not sure which is worse. At this point, Israel doesn't need to run shit by the U.S. In fact, it seems like the other way around. Yeah. Here's a doctor in internal medicine in Beirut, Dania El-Halak. I smelled too much blood today and tried to stop many slaughtered body parts from bleeding, which was pointless. What we are going through is unbelievable. As a doctor, you are not expected and allowed to say which was pointless. As a doctor, you don't tell me what I'm allowed to say, as I know better, idiot. And please understand the context of the text first, then speak. Pointless was meant to explain that the bleeding was impossible to stop, and yet we continued to work. I'm not even kidding, dude. Israel could do this in America, and America wouldn't do shit. Straight up. Maybe one day we'll find out. America condemns the American citizens that were exploded by Israeli bombs, hurting the feelings of the great state of Israel. Israel blows up, Columbia campus student protesters, and America's like, well, they were in the wrong. They shouldn't have actually said something. They shouldn't have said something mean about Israel.
This sets the stage for a major escalation between not only Hezbollah and Israel, but perhaps Iran as well.
All right, Ben Wiedemann, thank you so much. Joining us now, we've got Firaz Maqsad, who is the Director of Outreach at the Middle East Institute in Washington, as we're getting this breaking news in with hundreds of people injured, specifically Hezbollah members, after their pagers exploded. Firaz, great to have you with us. What is your initial response to this news?
No doubt a major operation and a wonderful, maybe wonderful is the wrong word, but an exceptional breakthrough for Israeli intelligence there.
Bro, they blew up a 10-year-old, bro. That's crazy. Hayvan. Just a fucking straight up Nazi, dude. On CNN, by the way. What a wonderful, wonderful act of terror. Like, how is this any different than, bro, this is just celebrating 9/11, you know? This is what Trump and everyone else lied about and said Muslims were doing, you know what I mean, on rooftops or some shit. Love the director of outreach at the Middle East Institute saying this, by the way. Wonderful. I mean, exceptional breakthrough. When you see this kind of stuff, I think, you know, I hope you understand why the rest of the world, like, in a lot of instances, despise us, okay? That's why it's so funny when people chirp about, like, I don't know, people burning American flags in, like, Iran or some shit. It's like, what are you talking about? Do you know the fucking pain that we cause everywhere on a daily fucking basis, dude? Another incredible Israeli operation that could spark a major Lebanon war expected when you're hemorrhaging deterrence and relying on U.S. to keep Netanyahu at bay. Hezbollah needs to restore deterrence, but doesn't want to give Bibi a pretext. Time to decouple Lebanon from Gaza. I feel like that seems like the opposite of what he's saying here.
Be able to penetrate Hezbollah's telecommunication
Am I
network.
misunderstanding what he's saying? No, what he said right there is like the opposite of... Did I misunderstand what he was saying? Another incredible Israeli operation that could spark a major Lebanon war. Expected when you're hemorrhaging deterrence and relying on U.S. to keep Netanyahu at bay. Hezbollah needs to restore deterrence, but doesn't want to give Bibi a pretext. Oh, he's saying Hezbollah needs to stop, like, trying to do deterrence and just give up. Never mind.
Can blow up hundreds, if not thousands, of pagers all at once.
So Firas, just to interject there, you mentioned Israeli intelligence being behind.
You mentioned it was wonderful. Maybe let's go back to that. That seems like a thing that I would ask a follow-up question on.
Behind this, is that what you're characterizing this as, that Israel was behind this? We don't have confirmation of that, and of course, we're getting information in real time. Why do you assume it's Israel?
Absolutely. I mean, in the context of all that's happening, there is very little doubt in my mind, and I think in the mind of most Middle East watchers, that Israeli intelligence is behind this. Now, Israel does have a long track record of sometimes, quite often, actually not claiming its operations to allow for some plausible deniability and perhaps allow the other side to de-escalate and not feel that they are compelled to retaliate. But for all practical reasons, everybody here would probably suspect Israel as being behind this operation. Friendly
reminder, a UK activist is facing prison for referring to October 7th as incredible. I mean, yeah, this is why I always say you must not, but you also definitely cannot be callous in the same way that, like, those who defend Israel's atrocities are. You just can't. There is obviously a fucking double standard. And anyone who's been doing this for as long as I have will tell you that. Nathan J. Robinson says, Israel knew that detonating all the pagers would mean indiscriminately killing civilians because you have no idea where the person with the pager is going to be. Launching explosions of the fruit markets and killing children is rightly called terrorism. The targets may have been military, but if Hamas put a bomb in an Israeli market in order to kill a military official, we would still consider it terrorism. Not only that, but also Israel directly uses bombs to kill people that they suspect is, like, high up. And they do end up killing a bunch of civilians in the process inside of Lebanon, in Syria, in Iraq, and many other places. It does not matter. It's just a straight up act of terror. And it is being celebrated by all of our wonderful thinkers in mainstream media. Over 1,000 Hezbollah fighters said injured as their pagers explode in alleged Israeli attack. We know how the U.S. media frames attacks intended for military targets that killed civilians. It's called October 7. Exactly. And in the interest of consistency, honesty, and fairness, I have condemned the civilian casualties during October 7. The problem is, no one will ever be expected to condemn Israel. There is never going to be a person that goes, do you condemn the Israeli terror attack on Lebanese soil? No, fuck no. That's not a question. That's not ever going to be a question.